Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Portal games, portal games, portal games. You got me good. You bring out Robinson Crusoe, which was a convoluted mess, but admittedly one of my favorite games. You remake it on Mars, and it's a double mess, but you forgot to put the fun in the box. And I got a little weary of you. I was like, I don't know, because when I started looking back at Portal, I was like, are there a lot of games there that I like? Not really. So I went in on Detective, and I pre-ordered it to get all the extra little stuff. And then I played your game. And it was so brilliant in parts, but you just can't help yourself, can you? You can't hire a writer. And I hate to be so hard, because I've met Ignacy at Dice Tower Con. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. And you find yourself rooting for him. And I've only seen him from a distance. I've said hi a couple of times. He doesn't know me from Adam. But you root for the guy. He's just so nice. And there's some quality about him that you root for him. But my gosh, can they hire a writer? An English writer? It's terrible. It's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible. And it's bad enough when it affects the rulebook. Funny enough, the rulebook here is actually okay. It's the writing of the story. This is a story game. And they just screwed it up. And it bothers me why they won't hire a professional writer. They're selling games. Detective was a great game. I had to make a lot of money with Robinson Crusoe. How much can a writer be? All you hear is about out-of-work writers. And you get this. And maybe they're going to make the argument they were going for that. When you're reading a card and it tells you the guy was staying in a green room and he went to the cafeteria but the sandwiches were stale and he drank coffee but the coffee was 3 days old and it didn't taste right. And it's paragraphs of this. Boredom. Of things that are going on around me but not any clues. I want to know what's going on in the story. And then I have to flip over another card to get the answer of what I'm waiting for. So I'll go to a tech who's going to look at the evidence. And instead of interacting with the guy, the tech guy, or finding out some piece of information, I leave the evidence with the tech and go get a sandwich and coffee? That makes no sense. Okay, sure, it makes sense. Maybe it's realistic. But is it fun? No! I don't want to read that, so you find yourself just skimming these cards. And then the more you skim, the more it takes you out of it. Why, oh why, wasn't some of this stuff put into the app? Oh my goodness. So let's talk about this app. Let's just talk about it, guys. Friend to friend. Let's talk about this app. So the app shows up in The First Martians, which is a mess. And it took out some of the cards. It just never really worked the way you wanted it to work. And it didn't read the way somebody in English would speak. And it was all convoluted, and it was a mess. Well, we have more app. In this app, in Detective, you put these very long numbers, 16 digits, 12 digits, whatever many are, 3,500 digit numbers, into this app over and over and over. And you guess what? Guess what? Guess what? It's super boring to watch somebody type these numbers in. And pretty much everything comes to a halt while they're doing that. While they're putting the numbers in, I am watching them type a number in. You want to know how fun it is? Watch this. That's how fun it was. Did you want to fast forward it? I wanted to fast forward myself. So while they're constantly putting these numbers in, why do they have to be so long? Why are these numbers this long? Why am I putting these long digit numbers in? It's boring. Nobody told them it was boring. The story itself is fine. There's some leaps of faith you got to make at the end of scoring. So let's talk about scoring. It is hard. And the reason why it's hard is because you only have so much time. That makes sense. I like that. As you go down these paths, you're going to hit roadblocks and dead ends. So if I picked A over B, I hit a roadblock and I don't do as well. But if I picked B over A, then I do better. What do I have to base my decisions on? If I find out the fingerprints and I want to go get the fingerprints and find out who did that, that leads to a roadblock. But if I would have had the technician look at the evidence that leads to something, both are viable solutions. Now, if this game was repeatable where you would play it over and over again, that's fine. You don't mind that. but because it's a play once. And if you miss that crucial information, when you go into 2, 3, 4, and 5, especially the end ones, and you don't have that crucial piece of information, it's really hard to make those leaps of faith into where you should be. Because the information is going to build over itself over the 5 modules that you have here. And I'm missing out on a lot. It's almost like you want to play the game, get your score, and then flip those cards over because you need some of that information. So you get really hosed early in this game. I really feel like that's the case. And people who love this game will just tell me that's not the case, and it's just realistic, and it's the way life is. But is it fun? Okay, it's fun for you. It's not for me. Not at all. I really liked Robinson Crusoe, and I was up for First Martians, and I hate to keep going back to that. But I was even psyched for this game. I like Sherlock Holmes okay. I'm never going to beat Sherlock Holmes. But I felt like that the clues were there, and the stories I was reading were interesting. I don't feel like they're interesting here. And because they're all together and they're all interconnected, if I do poorly, it's going to build up on itself. Sort of. Maybe you can get yourself out of that hole, but if you got in a hole in the first one, and you make a wrong turn again in the second one, and again in the third one, and maybe that's the game. Maybe that's fun. But it's not resetting every time, and it makes it very difficult to understand. Win, lose, or draw, when I got done with this game, I wanted to understand what happened. I wanted all the blocks to be filled for me. I wanted to, okay, I lost. I didn't do very well. Now what happened? Explain to me. And Sherlock Holmes does a pretty good job of that. So at the end of it, I can see, oh, this is what I should have looked for, this is what I should have done. And that's fun to me. But to have this open-ended thing where I don't know what I should have done or where I should have gone or even what the story is. The story never came together in the app. And I'm not sure that's a rewarding experience. Then you say, well, just go play it again. Yeah, you can go play it again, but it's not really that sort of game where you want to reset it because now I know all the correct decisions to make. And maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. It was boring the first time. I played it again. I tried playing it again. It was even more boring the second time because there weren't decisions to make. The first time I felt like there were decisions to make, even though they were random. I felt like they were random, like A or B, evidence or fingerprints. Both seem like viable decisions to make. But the second time through, I know this is going to be dead end, so I'm just going to go here. At that point, I should just read the cards. If I already know the bad decision, so I have to choose the good decision, if there's only 2, then you say, well, there may be 4 decisions. Great, now I got to play this darn game 4 times to find out what the story is. It wasn't appealing. You have terrible writing. You have uninteresting stories. You have an ongoing campaign where you can get really behind the 8 ball. What could have happened, and perhaps would have made a better story, or a more congruent story as you go on, was you got graded for 1, and then they kind of filled in the blanks and told you what you should have got for that in order for it to make sense to the rest. I don't know why they didn't. There were some neat things in this, though, like the videos that you would see. No spoilers here, but there were some videos you can watch and some things, how you kind of piece things together was really, really neat. I really liked that the story did fit together. Or I just wish it would have been implemented better about how it kind of went through. And that was very interesting to me, and I liked that quite a bit. I felt like it was a long campaign. If the story had been written better, I feel like this game would be 80% better with a better writer. The overarching story, what you were attempting to do, was great. It was fine. It wasn't my cup of tea, but it was fine. It was the writing on the cards. They're so dreadfully boring. Okay, I've said enough negative. Let me say what's good about this game. You feel like a detective. It's very realistic in the effect that you only have so much time and you're sitting around not doing much while other people are doing their job, technicians and fingerprints and what. You do get, let's say, if you got 10 out of 10 clues and you would know exactly what happened, you may get 4 to 8, whatever, depending on how lucky you are or how good you are, if you want to say that, during the game. So you have those leaps of faith that detectives have, but I'm bored the whole time reading these cards. But those clues, they do piece together. It does take that little leap of logic that you're looking for in this deduction game. So that's there. I don't know how you would ever have everything in a row. And I felt like the scoring was very, very harsh. I felt like it was really hard to get a good score. And I know you're going to retort and say, well, I did so great. I got a 10 out of 10. I'm fantastic. Well, you are and I'm not. It did not occur to me. Overall, I have to say, do not play this game. If you're going to play it, try to get a copy of somebody and play it. If it sounds like something you would just absolutely love, more power to you. But know what you're going into here, guys. I don't think it's what you want. I would probably say stick with Sherlock Holmes. And if you played it all the way through, check this out if you want something different a little bit. But for me, it's going to be an absolute purge. Here's Detective, a modern crime board game. Board games that tell stories by Ignacy Trzewiczek and Portal Games. As you open it up, you're going to see a bunch of stuff in here. You're going to have some pictures. Now, mine has the pre-order, so I'm going to get this mat that will come with it, which is really nice. Not really needed, but it is nice. You're going to get some paperwork that will be in here, some photos. I had to kind of fit everything back in here the best that I could. I'm going to get some advertisements and confidentials, and nothing in there I show you will be a spoiler. This will be everything that you open up the first time you open up the game. A little thing I show you how to use the database, which is nice. You're going to get a rule book, which we'll take a look at, a case book, which we won't open up to keep away from spoilers. This is the normal size board if you didn't get the mat. You're going to have the 5 cases, and this is spoilers, it's all in here. You have the 5 cases set up. If you got the pre-order, then you will have some of these that will be cardboard. If not, you'll get these little cheaper ones that are a little bit more flimsy. Whatever you want. You're going to either have tokens that will come with it, which are fine, or if you got the pre-order, then everything you have will be these wooden bits. These right here are still cardboard, but everything else is wooden bits for your stress, your timers, your car, etc. Everything is really nice. The setup in here, I wouldn't say this is custom, but it does fit the tarot size cards pretty well, and everything else I just sit right down in here for what I need. We're going to take a look at the rule book and not the case book. I'll show you a little bit in the case book, but not much. I don't want any spoilers. Here is the rule book. You're going to have a little bit of an introduction. You're going to have the concepts of the game, the picture of the components, which is always nice. You're going to have to set up each case, a summary, and listen, this is how you play the game right here. So once you kind of get moving, it's not going to be a big deal. The 3 basic rules of the game about the clues, the time, and the locations, very simple. How to follow leads, dig deeper is really just a matter of how to read a card. If you can read English, you're good. How to use a database a little bit. You're going to have a little add-on that will be able to do that. And some other little rules that you'll be utilizing there in the game, how to save things, end game scoring, how your consultants work with the extra powers. Very, very simple to use. I got to say, for Portal being terrible at their rule books and having a reputation that's well warranted for how terrible the rule books is, this one was fine. I got through it fairly easily. That's because the game really doesn't have any rules, but it was a good book. Here's the case book. I'm going to show you this without any spoilers. Don't worry about it. When you open this up the first time you play, you're going to be looking at this, and no spoilers. I'm not going to show you anything past case 1, and you really won't be able to see anything on the book unless you really zoom in. Here's an introduction. You'll read this. You have some flavor text, and it'll kind of tell you how to set up and some initial leads that you'll have. So that's kind of where you start out with the game. Each case you open up will have 2 pages. When you get to other ones, there may be different rules or different things to be able to do, but the case book is really, really easy. And this text here is all just flavor text. Really, there's not a whole lot of clues in there, but it does give you some backgrounds that you'll have. Okay, I'm going to show you the flow of the game. There will be no spoilers in this. Each person will get a character who will have a side that, if you're not using him, will be on this side, and it gives you a couple tokens to use. If you're actually being the character, then you have less tokens, but you have a power, and each one is going to be like this. So you're going to use, depending on the difficulty of the game that you want, is how many of these that you'll use as NPCs, and you just flip them over. So if you're playing a solo game, maybe you would choose one of these to be the one with the power, and then the other 3 will just give you these little things that you utilize when you're going through the clues. Here's the mat that I got for pre-ordering. If you were going to utilize the board, you would just use this instead. They're exactly the same thing. What you do is you're going to start out in the headquarters, putting your car there. You're also going to put the little bomb tracker here on the time that you'll be keeping track of, then your gas thing on the day, so you can see what day it is. And as the days go by, you just kind of do this, and each case will tell you how many days are in one. And every time you spend time, you'll be utilizing it through here. If you want to move from a location, you can move from a location to location. It just takes 1 hour. So if I want to go to the field, it would take me an hour. If I wanted to go to the courthouse, it would cost me an hour. If you get to 4 o'clock, that's shutting down time. You can still use additional time, but every time you do, you take one of these stresses, and you kind of take that on there. And each case will tell you a number of stress. If you get a number, let's say yours is stress level 5, and you get up to where you've used 5 stress, then the case would immediately end, and you would have to go in and start trying to solve it. A lot of this game is going to be on the app. I'm not going to go into the app too much, but just notice that it's there. This is going to be spoiler free and have these case cards. And as you go through them, you'll be able to look at those and find clues. So you might go, like, for here, it would tell you in the first case, and this is not a spoiler, as soon as you open up the book, you get this,
If you want to investigate the auction house, you would go to 119. But you have to be in the fieldwork office. So you go to fieldwork, spending 1 time, then you would look up that card 119, and it will give you clues, and you kind of go from there. And once you have them resolved, you can put them on this side or on that side if you've only looked at one. Some of them are going to be double-sided. At its heart, the game is just a deduction game. There isn't a whole lot of gameplay right here. Most of the game comes from reading the cards, reading the clues, and figuring out what you're supposed to figure out to solve the mystery. You put that information into the app, and you'll be able to get some clues back, and then finally get a report on whether you passed or you failed.
Who should buy this game? You're going to have to be a fan of deduction. You're going to have to be a fan of either playing solo and reading a whole lot of stuff by yourself or reading to your friends. Lots of reading about the setting, the color of the walls, what you're drinking and what you're eating, and not so much just about the clues. You're going to be reading a lot of boring text that's not really written that well. I think that you're not in for a very fun or exciting experience. It is neat, though, how you can go on the internet and you can find things in the real world, and you have that database. Putting those numbers in is boring, but there is a little bit here to see. I think more people are going to think this is a cup of tea and find out that it's not after they're done playing it. But this is a warning for you that you should probably skip this one and purge it. But if it sounds like something you just want, then jump off the diving board in the deep end and let me know. Come back here and let me know in the comments if you like this game or not. I'm going to guess you're not. And the fact that it's currently on sale pretty much everywhere, I think a lot of people would agree with me. So best of luck to you if you try it. Do come back and let me know. Purge for Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. Lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.